Hi everyone, welcome to Red Fox Sewing and Crafting, and welcome to my craft room. I'm Joanna. So today we will be making the back of the back pocket, and the pages. So first thing we're going to do is make the pocket. For that you will need a piece that is 3.5 by 6.25, and one piece that is 4.5 by 7.25. You are going to want to grab your scoreboard out, and with the 7.25 at the top, you're going to score at 1/2 inch and at 6 3/4. You're going to flip it around to the 4.5, and you're going to score it again at 1/2. With the 3.5 by 6.25, you are going to score at 1/2 with a 3.5 at the top. So we're just going to take these, fold them on the score line, and burnish. I'm going to burnish them really good. Now you want to miter these corners. So take your scissors, and on the pocket we are going to miter the top 2 tabs, just like that, and then the bottom 2 squares we're going to cut out. And I like to angle it out like this. And then with our flap, we're just going to miter on the 1/2 inch tab, just like so. Then I'm going to grab my score tape and place it on all of my tabs here, making sure that I'm not going over the score marks that I made. And burnish the tape really good. And then we are going to start on the right side of the back. And I just had to put on papers on my spines. I totally forgot to do that. So we're going to put our pocket right up against the right side of our album here on the back. And you want to make sure that you're right next to the score mark, but not up against or on top of it, so that when you close it, it closes and doesn't buckle up. So I'm just checking that to make sure that my album will close. And I'm happy with my placement. So I'm going to take my burnishing tool and burnish this tab down really good. Now, I do have several lines of paper right here that I could cover up with tape, but in the decoration video, if you're going to be following how I'm decorating it, we will be adding paper to this whole piece. So I'm not going to bother with doing that. So we're going to do the same thing with our tabs, our side tabs. Just going to take this off just like this. No, don't do that. Don't do that because we are going to be adding a, if you're following how I'm doing it, we are going to be adding a swing tab to this closure. And I totally did it on the wrong side. If you are watching this and you are following along, please make sure to watch my whole video before you do anything. This needs to go on the opposite side. It needs to go right here. Check against my, yes, it goes on this side. If I have it out, it might help. So we're just going to leave this open for now, and our flap will just cover this mess, so no one will notice. When you are making the prototype, everything goes good. But when you record, somehow it just all falls apart, and there's issues everywhere. Okay, so once it's all complete, once we have our swing tab on, it will look like this. Because we are going to be adding a swing tab, and it's easier to do it when the side pieces of the pocket are not put down yet. So for now, we're just going to set this aside and work on our pages. And for our pages, just trying to find the stuff I need to do the next step. small craft and not enough space. Okay. For the base pages, you will need 3 pieces that are 11 by 11 3/4. Now I already made 2 base pages, but I will show you how to do one and do it with you. So I made a little diagram here to show you where to score, because we're going to be scoring this. It will help a lot. Well, you have to fold it. And then some of these score marks are going to actually just be cutting marks. But I will show you how to cut this. Or score. I'll show you how to do it. How to make it. So we are going to start at the 11 3/4 at the top, and we're going to score at 1/2 inch and at 3/4. Now the 11 or the 1/2 inch and the 3/4 are going to turn into our hinge system. This album is going to be an L hinge, and it looks like this. It becomes an L when you attach it to your album. Next, we need to flip it around and score at 5.5 with the 11 at the top. Rotate it back to your original position with your 1/2 inch and 3/4 inch scores on your left side or your right, depending on how you're scoring it. You just want it how you originally scored the first 2 marks. And you're going to score it at 6 1/4. Now you want to flip it, making sure that it's in the same position, or your score marks are in the same position. So your 1/2 and 3/4 and your 6 1/4 should be in the same places. Next, you're going to score it 6 1/2, and you're going to end at your 5.5 inch score line. That's going the opposite direction. So you want to go all the way down just to that halfway point. And then you're going to go to your 6 1/4 inch score mark, but you're going to start from the 5.5 inch score mark you made, and you want to score that again. So you should have 2 score marks in the center portion, one going up and one going down. And in this bottom section, you have a score mark that's going down. Now we're going to take our piece that we scored, and we're going to cut this bottom piece out and this bottom piece out. So with the 2 score marks in the center at the bottom, okay? I'm going to score this 1/2" tab and then this whole square. You want to make sure that you have this tab though. So you want to cut along the score mark that you made. And if it's not perfect, it's okay. We can go back and trim our little flap that we made after we put it together. And while I'm cutting this out, I'm just going to miter my 2 tabs that I have. And it could be hard to see sometimes, so just take your time. Okay. So save this piece. You can use it later on for some of the pieces that we will be making in our album. So you should have a piece that looks like, well, it's going to be flipped to the back because that's where I put my marks, but this is how it looks with the back. If you laid it down in the original way, it'll look like this. But I use decorative paper, so this is how I did it. So on the top, you have a flap, and your flap is going, or your score mark is bumpy. It's raised up. That means you want to fold it towards you, because we burnished that, or we scored that mark so that it would fold up. And you want to make sure that each piece is lining straight. Otherwise, it won't work very well. Your 2 hinge pieces, you have a little valley. So you're going to fold them away from you. Whenever you have a valley or a depression where you scored, you want to fold that away. When you have a little hill or a bump, that means you want to fold it towards you. The bump is the piece you want to go inside of the fold. That just makes it, the fold, more even. And you don't have as many problems when you fold it, because then your paper doesn't crack or anything. Now I'm going to fold my 2 hinge pieces the other way too because they're hinges. Now we have this piece with our 2 tabs. I'm going to fold my tabs in, burnish them really good. And you want to be careful with these tabs because they're 1/4 inch, so they're going to be small. And then we're going to bring this up, making sure that lines up with the top of our page. And we're going to burnish the bottom. I'm going to open this up now and put a little bit of glue on my 2 tabs. I don't have any 1/8 inch score tape, but if you do, you can use that on this part. So I'm just going to stick this down really good, making sure that it's lining up where I want it, and then burnishing it really good so that it sticks. And now we have, if it burnishes and sticks, there we go. Now we have a pocket in our page. So now I'm just going to fold my flap down, and I can see that I have a little bit peeking below my pocket. So I'm just going to take my scissors and very carefully go along the bottom of my pocket, just cutting my flap and making sure that I don't cut my pocket open, because we don't want that. We want to keep a nice little top opening pocket. So I'm happy with that. And now we have 3 pocket pages. You'll need to make 3 of these. Now it's time to add the extra pieces. So you want to make sure that the flap of each page is in the front, since our pocket is a top loading pocket and the hinges are going to go on the left spine. Page 1, we're not adding anything. Page 2, which is going to be the pocket side, you will need 3 pieces. No, 2 pieces. Sorry. You need 2 pieces. You will need a 4.5 by 2.5 and a 4 by 5.5. And on the 2.5 by 4.5, with the 4.5 on the top, you're going to score at half And then with your 4 by 5.5, with the 5.5 at the top, again, you're going to score at half. And then we're just going to burnish these really quick. And miter the tabs. And I'm going to add a little bit of score tape. There we go. And burnish. So take your first page and we're going to start with our 4.5 by, no, our 4 by 5.5. And you want the hinge towards you. And then or however it's easiest to do with this part. So I put this flap 1/2 inch from the bottom of my page. You can do it, you can place this wherever you want, but I liked how that looks. So I'm just going to put that there and burnish it really good. And then with the smaller one, I put it 1/2 inch down from the top of the flap, which happens to be the center of the page. So I'm just going to line this up. Just like so. Right on the flap, just like that. And we're going to burnish. So that is page 2. So we'll just set this aside for now. Page 3. You need 3 pieces. You need a 2 1/4 by 7 3/4, a 2 1/4 by 7 1/4, and a 2 1/4 by 6 3/4. And then you'll need your next page. So we are going to get our scoreboard out again, and we are going to take our page, put it in our scoreboard, like this, so that's fully open, and you want your pocket up, and it's 5 1/2, so it should be yes. Okay, so you're going to score your flap at 2 3/4. Oh no, you want it so that the pocket is facing down. So 2 3/4. And then you want to fold your flap up so that when you close it, like this, your flap opens like this. So now we're going to set this aside, and then we're going to focus on these. With your 6 3/4 inch piece, with that at the top, you're going to score at 3 1/4 and 3 1/2. Your 7 1/4 piece, you're going to score at 3 1/4, 3 1/2, 3 3/4, and 4. And then your 7 3/4, you're going to score at 3 1/4, 3 1/2, 3 3/4, 4, 4 1/4, and 4 1/2. So once you're done, all your score marks start at 3 1/4. Your smallest one, you should have 1 1/4 inch space. Your middle piece, you should have 3 1/4 inch spaces. And your largest piece, you should have 5 1/4 inch spaces. Now take all these pieces, and you're just going to burnish on all of the score marks that you just made. And I like to make sure that my pieces are aligned when I burnish them, just so that they're as even as I can get them. Even and straight. Makes them look nice and pretty. And the last one. Now that all of your pieces are burnished, it's time to assemble this. Now this is going to turn into a waterfall, and it's really easy to make So I'm going to start with my largest piece on my mat. And you want to make sure that your folds are going up, because when you're done, you want everything to fold together to make a waterfall. Take your middle piece and we are going to glue on all three of the score or all three spaces on the back. So you want to make sure that the flaps are going down when you put glue on them. So then it'll look like this. Now, carefully take your piece that you just put glue on, and you'll want to line it up as best you can on top of the first piece, centering it. Now what I like to do is lightly press on it and then kind of fold back on either side, making sure that I'm not over either of my score marks from the previous piece. And if I am, then I kind of just shift it with pushing the piece. And once I'm happy with where it is, I'm not just going to pick it up really quick and retry it. Sometimes it's just easier to kind of fold the bottom one on top of the middle one, and that might help a little bit to get it to go where you want. Okay, once you're happy with it, then you can just burnish really well. And we have the start of our waterfall. Going to take our middle piece, add glue to the back of the single 1/4 inch centerpiece, and we're just going to again stick it in the center and check to make sure that not going over either of the score lines there. And then once it's all, let me burnish this really quick. Oh, oops. It shifted on me. That's not happy. Looks good. Okay, just gonna burnish really quick, and then I can fold the top two down, and then we have a lovely waterfall. And you just want to fold the top score marks down. You don't want to fold any of the other ones down, because those were just kind of placement holders for where, or placement marks for where you put your glue and your centerpieces. So then it looks like this. So we're just going to set this aside and put it with our page 3, because we need to add our pattern paper on top before we can put this down. So page 4. You need a piece of paper that is 5.5 by 8.5. Or, oh, yeah, 5.5 by 8.5 minus a 16th. So like a hair less than 8.5. Just so that when you close your flap, it's not hindering anything. You can close it easily. So we're going to score this with the 8.5 minus the 16th, which is like just a nudge over a half. If you have 1/8 inch marks on your cutting mat, it's going to be between those two. If you have a 16th, then it's going to be 7/16. Just a nudge less than 8.5. That's what you want. Okay. 8.5 at the top. 8.5 minus the 16th at the top. You want to score at half and at 4.5. And we are going to burnish our score marks, making sure that they fold correctly. And if you're having issues, you can always put it back in your scoreboard and score again, because sometimes your paper likes to shift on you when you score, and that is not happy. We want nice and pretty score marks, nice and pretty fold lines. So, just going to start at the bottom here and try to nudge it. There we go. So that it forms a pretty little tab. Then I'm going to take my larger piece and fold that over, and when you put your larger piece inside of your tab, you don't have any issues folding your tab closed. Take your page 3 piece, flip it over so that your flap is on the left, and we're going to miter this really quick and put score tape if you are using score tape. I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay, page 3, to the back of the page, for your pocket, or your pocket side, with the flap, the folded flap that we made on your left, and then your hinge on your right. We are going to take our flap here, add a little bit of glue on the tab, and we are going to attach our tab right on our page on the left. So then if we fully open it, we have 2 flaps on the same side. And then we have our hinge on the other side. So put all of this aside for now. Last page, we are not doing anything to page 5. We're going to move on to page 6. Page 6, you will need a piece that is 5.5 by 8.5. And this is a full 8.5, not a 16th less than 8.5. It's a full 8.5 inch piece. Because we're going to be making pockets out of this. And a flap. So, with the 8.5 at the top, you need to score at half, 4.5, and 7. And let me check really quick. Yeah, okay. So I'm going to flip this over, and then you're going to rescore the 4.5 so that it goes the opposite way. And then we're just going to fold and burnish all of our score marks here. Making sure that everything is, top and bottom is lining up really well. So then it'll look like this once you have folded it correctly. Then we're just going to miter our 1/2 inch tab. Like this. And I'm going to add my score tape. Burnish really well, and then we're going to grab our last page. And again, you want the flap to be on the left and the hinge to be on the right. And all we're going to do today is glue our tab on. So we're just going to glue this on here, just like so. There you go. There are a few pieces that I haven't glued down, and I'm not going to glue the pages down because I want to decorate first. But I will show you really quick on here, on my prototype, the things that I haven't done. So back on page 3 with a waterfall after I put my pattern paper down. And this is if you aren't going to watch my decoration video, if you just want to go your own route. I put my waterfall when the flap is closed, I put it centered on the pocket of my page, the main body of my page. I center it there. And then I just glued down the top and bottom of my pockets here. So you have a pocket here and a pocket here, small pocket here. And then this is a full flap. And then how I attached my pages is, I believe this is 1/2 inch spacing. It is. So I just butted up my 1/2 inch ruler against where my front cover flap went, and then I glued just the 1/2 inch flap down onto the piece, onto my spine. So then the 1/4 inch piece here helps your page to move. So you have the 1/2 inch tab on your spine. The next page, you have the 1/2 inch spine on the 1/2 inch piece on the spine. And then your last page, if you notice, I have a 1/2 inch of my red paper showing on the back. So what you want to do is, instead of putting your flap down towards the pocket, you want to flip it over so that it goes towards the flap. And then glue it on top of the middle page tab, like this. If that didn't make any sense to you, I will actually show you how to do all that when I am going through my decoration video next week. I will be adding my swing tab, gluing my cover pocket down, finishing all the parts to my pages and putting them in. And then I will also be making some little inserts that go in the pockets. So if you are interested in following me with using the paper that I am and everything I'm using, or if you just want to kind of follow me with how I'm doing it, but with your own paper, or just want to see more in depth of how I finish my album, come and join me for next week's video on me decorating this fun little album. See you next week. Bye.